Introducing something fresh and new from Planters. A whole family of snacks for you and your family. Try cheddary cheese balls and cheese curls.
Delicious.
Crunch into those crispy, corny corn chips. And don't forget Planters' twist on an old favorite, pretzel twists.
Imagine opening that bright blue can for the first time, the satisfying pop of the lid, the wave of salty, tangy cheese scent rushing out, and the sight of those perfect neon orange spheres waiting to be devoured. You grab a handful, toss them in your mouth, and that unmistakable crunch hits loud, bold, and absolutely addictive. For a kid in the 90 seconds, this wasn't just a snack, it was a ritual. Planters Cheez Balls were the kind of treat that turned ordinary moments into core memories. You'd share them at sleepovers, hide them from siblings, and probably leave behind a trail of orange fingerprints on everything you touched. And just like that, the can was empty before you even realized it. But here's the strange part: for something so beloved, so iconic, they just vanished. One day, they were on every grocery store shelf, and the next, they were gone like a cheesy mirage. No farewell announcement, no warning, just silence. And that disappearance left a void that snack fans still talk about today. Because let's be honest, nothing ever quite matched that flavor or that crunch. It wasn't just food nostalgia, it was personal. These were the snacks that made long summer afternoons brighter and sleepovers just a little more chaotic. So what happened to the crunchy little legends that once ruled the 90-second snack aisle? Were they truly gone forever, or was there more to the story than we realized? To understand the rise and fall of Planters Cheez Balls, you have to go back to where it all began. The late 80 seconds were an experimental time for snacks. Every brand wanted to capture the next big flavor craze. Planters, already famous for its peanuts, decided to gamble. The idea of a nut company diving into cheese puffs sounded strange at first, but that's what made it genius. In 1989, Planters introduced Cheez Balls, and it was nothing like anything else on the market. These weren't messy, melt-in-your-mouth cheese puffs. They had structure, crunch, personality. The packaging was simple but bold, a metallic blue can with bright yellow text that practically shouted from the shelves, and inside, a flavor explosion. The cheese coating was sharp but balanced, with just the right amount of salt to keep you reaching for more. Kids loved them, but so did adults. They became the ultimate crossover snack, playful enough for lunchboxes, but addictive enough for late-night cravings. Planters didn't just sell a product, they sold a feeling. The bright color, the satisfying crunch, even that slight sting of salt, it all worked together to create a sensory memory that stuck for decades. What's fascinating is how out of character this move was for Planters. Until then, the brand had built its entire image on being a grown-up snack, refined, classic. Something you might see in a bowl at a holiday party. But with Cheez Balls, they threw that out the window and went full chaos mode: fun, messy, loud. And it worked. The contrast made them stand out instantly. In a time before social media hype or viral marketing, all it took was one taste to start the craze. By the early 90 seconds, the blue can had become a household staple. Cheez Balls weren't just a product of clever branding, they were a symbol of a simpler time when snacks didn't need to be healthy or high-tech. They just needed to taste good, make noise, and leave you wanting more. But as with all icons, the story of Cheez Balls was just getting started, and its next chapter would be even more unexpected. By the time the 90 seconds hit full stride, Planters Cheez Balls weren't just another snack, they were a cultural event. The commercials were loud, fast, and funny, perfectly matching the decade's over-the-top energy. The ads didn't just sell cheese, they sold chaos, laughter, and that irresistible crunch. You'd see that bright blue can pop up in pantries across America, on road trips, in dorm rooms, or stashed behind cereal boxes where parents thought kids wouldn't find them. And if you did find them, you'd better grab a handful before they were gone, because Cheez Balls had a way of disappearing fast. What made them stand out wasn't just flavor, it was the whole experience. The crunch was sharper, the texture more satisfying than the puffier competitors. Even the cheese dust had its own personality, less powdery, more substantial, like it meant to stay on your fingers. Kids compared them at lunch tables, arguing over who could fit the most in their mouth without choking, while adults secretly raided their kids' snack stash late at night. For a moment, Planters, the brand that had once been all about roasted peanuts and classy canisters, had somehow become the king of 90 seconds fun food. And it didn't stop there. Cheez Balls became a mini pop culture icon. They showed up in TV shows, were parodied in cartoons, and became the ultimate guilty pleasure for anyone who grew up in that neon decade. It's rare for a snack to hold a place in people's memories like that, but Cheez Balls did it. They represented everything that made the 90 seconds unforgettable. Bright colors, bold flavors, and a total disregard for subtlety. Every bite felt like an instant hit of nostalgia before nostalgia was even a thing. But then, almost as suddenly as they arrived, the magic began to fade. Somewhere in the early 2000s, snack aisles started changing. Health trends took over, and words like baked, organic, and low-fat began replacing cheesy, salty, and addictive. People didn't realize it at first, but something was missing. One day, you went to grab a can, and it just wasn't there. Planters never made a big announcement. Cheez Balls simply vanished, quietly discontinued without explanation. Fans were stunned. At first, people thought it was temporary, maybe a supply issue, maybe just a rebrand. But months passed, then years, and still nothing. Forums started popping up online, filled with desperate snack lovers searching for any clue. Some claimed to have heard from store managers that they'd never be restocked. Others swore it was all part of a secret marketing plan. Either way, one thing was clear: the absence hit hard. The blue cans had left a blue void in every nostalgic heart. What made the mystery sting even more was that nothing else could replace them. Competitors tried. Sure, cheese puffs, curls, balls of every shape and flavor flooded the market. But none of them had that exact crunch, that unique cheese coating, or the sense of joy tied to Planters' original creation. Over time, Cheez Balls became one of those legendary lost snacks, whispered about like an urban legend of childhood. Something so small, yet so unforgettable. Then, decades later, just when everyone had accepted that the legend was gone for good, something incredible happened. In 2018, Planters made an announcement that broke the internet. Cheez Balls were coming back. The news spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with people posting photos, stories, and emotional reactions that you'd think were about a major life event, not a cheese snack. And yet, it made sense. For an entire generation, that blue can represented comfort, nostalgia, and simpler times. The comeback was more than marketing, it was emotional. Stores couldn't keep them in stock. People were buying cans in bulk, taking photos with them, even selling them online for outrageous prices. The flavor was the same: cheesy, crunchy, unapologetically addictive, and for a few shining months, it felt like the 90 seconds had come back to life. But the return didn't last forever. The relaunch was limited, a nostalgic experiment that eventually faded again. Still, that brief revival reminded everyone of why Cheez Balls mattered so much. Maybe that's what made them truly timeless, the fact that they didn't try to change or fit into new trends. They stayed loud, cheesy, and joyfully over the top until the very end. And even if they're gone again, the memory never left. Every time someone mentions them, people light up, remembering that taste, that crunch, that moment of pure 90 seconds happiness. So, are Planters Cheez Balls gone forever? Maybe. Or maybe they're just waiting for the right moment to roll back into our lives again. Because some legends never really disappear, they just hide in the pantry of nostalgia, waiting for someone to open the lid one more time.